on this episode of Edge of the Web.
And it's this premise called customer delight at the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever that is to you, your business, doesn't matter. Just think about like, what can I do that can like delight my customer, make them smile?
Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. You're listening and watching Edge of the Web. Winners of Best Podcast from the Content Marketing Institute for 2017. Hear and see more at edgeofthewebradio.com. Now, alongside Tom Broadbeck, here's your host, Erin Sparks.
Hey, we're broadcasting from Edge Media Studios, located in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. Every week we bring you the latest trends in digital marketing, as well as top marketing influencers. So thanks for joining us. You can check out all our recent shows over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. We're powered by Site Strategics, your digital marketing pioneer specializing in the agile digital marketing strategy and execution. So if you want to learn more about what that is, and literally it's responsive marketing, being able to adjust course based on feedback, based on results. So really, it's natural marketing if you think about it. That's what marketers are supposed to do, right? So if you want to check that out, go over to sitestrategics.com. That's S-I-T-E strategics.com. I'm your host, Erin Sparks. I'm the CEO of Site Strategics, as well as Edge Media Studios. What we do here on this show is very, very important to us, as well as, well, we hope to our guests and our listeners. Is we want to debunk so many concepts inside of digital marketing and digital marketing tactics. There's so much out there of what's good SEO, what's bad SEO. Does SEO even exist anymore in this entire content marketing realm? Social media myths and best tactics and standards. We break everything down, and we've had a long run here, 5.5 years, and we really appreciate everybody's feedback and support. We have a great series of influencers and guests that just give us the ability to kind of keep our own powder dry here at Site Strategics. To my left is Tom Broadbeck, Director of Digital Marketing.
Hello.
Media. Wow.
Hey, promotion. Sorry, Jared.
And let's go ahead and introduce our guest as well. I don't know why in the world it happens that way. Sujan Patel, he's the co-founder of Web Profits. How you doing, sir?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very pumped.
What is that above your shoulder? That is Starry Night Batman right there. Dude, I got to say, you're probably my favorite guest already. I mean, does he know? Does he know me? Doesn't know me, does he?
He doesn't. He's about to find out.
Hey, for everybody who's on Facebook Live, we certainly want to promote what we're doing there. We're certainly fielding questions and asking you to share to your friends and colleagues. If you're jumping on the stream, make sure you share it out on Twitter as well as Facebook. So we want to get this show out and amongst the people that can appreciate it regularly. So the stream's live, and we'll certainly field the questions as you give it to us throughout the show. Please check out all of our platforms where we're moving our podcast after the broadcast. We're on all the different aggregators like iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Acast, Player FM. I think that's all the spaces. But if we're not where you want us to be, just contact us over at edgeofthewebradio.com, and we can certainly move our RSS feed over there real bloody quick.
Yep.
Right?
Just let us know.
Just like that. All right. Hey, let's take you through the latest digital marketing news.
I was very excited to start my reportings.
This week's trending topics.
All right. Hey, first article on deck here is from Philip Struhack. Oh, I didn't do it.
I got you.
You got me on this one.
Struharick.
From Medium, the biggest drop in Facebook organic reach we have ever seen. Tom, take it away and help me out here.
So I saw a bunch of articles referencing this Medium article. So I thought we'd just go directly to the source rather than use the others. But Facebook's rolling out has a new update that they're testing out in six different countries: Slovakia, Sri Lanka, Serbia, Bolivia, Guatemala, and Cambodia. And all the businesses, any posts from pages are going into this thing that's called the Explore feed. So they will not be in the normal news feed within Facebook. That's what they're testing right now.
Wow.
And so I'll just read here from my article. It says it's rolling out globally this week, and the new Facebook Explorer feed is rolling out globally this week, and most people around the world can see it in their bookmarks, and there they can discover new content. But that Explore feed's being tested, like I said, with business pages only. And so what were some of the consequences? And Jim, if you scroll down on that article there, you can kind of see how the organic reach has dropped. So the pages are seeing dramatic drops in those 6 countries in organic reach of several, so by 2/3 compared to previous days. 60 of the biggest media pages in Slovakia have seen 4 times fewer interactions, likes, comments, and shares since the test. And it looks like he's updated a couple times here. If you keep scrolling down, Jim, he's got a couple more updates. Update on there's another chart down there on 10/25, which was yesterday at the time of this recording. Here's another graph showing the average number of interactions.
Oh my Lord!
How they've just dropped in half since being moved to this Explore feed.
Holy, hey, Sujan, have you come across that particular new change here in Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen it happen over and over again with Facebook. Right, they're maturing as a platform. I think people are, frankly, complaining, or it's becoming too brand advertising driven and less user friendly. Like it's less useful for like an individual. This is their way of correcting it. I think in the short term it sucks, right? Yeah. It's really bad for businesses. But I think Facebook is great at pushing people to their ad platform, right? And that's kind of one of the big things this does. But I think what it requires is people to change their strategy and their mindset to focus really on engagement. Just as Google's, in the SEO world, just as Google's algorithm has evolved and like Penguin, Panda are like live in their rank brain or whatever you want to, however it's kind of defined, Facebook has grown to maturity to the point where it's evolving at a similar rate. So yeah, it's bad in the short term, but focus on engagement and post valuable stuff and build that community.
I think that's the best way to look at it, because any change, I mean, and we've seen that before in the SEO community. Whenever that algorithm change happens, you have the scream of all the SEOs. Well, you got to be able to bounce with these different platforms, and they're doing it, and they thought through it. They have had a long, deliberate discussion of, okay, this is going to hit the businesses in their pocketbook in the short term, right? When they do these kind of things, though, you really think and kind of anticipate, you would expect at least, that they'd be communicating to the business pages a little bit more. Hey, we're about to shift over here. Hold on to your seat a little bit, And they don't make that type of conversation nearly as much as I would expect.
I totally agree. I think they're definitely lacking on the communication front with their revenue makers, right? Like the businesses. The advertisers are powering, Facebook, right? So I think they could definitely use, somebody like Matt Cutts, right?
Yes.
Be the evangelist of the other side, or like just at least communicate and have a place where people can kind of share their voice. But I think at the other end of this, like you kind of have to expect these types of things to happen. I mean, Facebook and social media in general has evolved so quickly. Facebook groups are huge now. LinkedIn, if you look at LinkedIn, I know this is about Facebook and specifically about this, but like everybody, like, I think I did a great job 2 years ago leveraging in LinkedIn publishing, and we saw a lot more traction, and then all of a sudden it went flat. And newsfeed has become the thing, and when you post links externally, that's kind of dropped. I think you have to test rapidly. And if you let people know, you get a bunch of opinions of the other end. You really need to see the users' interactions to really get data. And that's what I love about Facebook. They're really good at testing. Like I sat 3 folks at a conference last week, and we all had different mobile versions. They were literally testing different mobile apps. Like I had a different set of icons on the bottom than the 2 folks next to me.
Really?
I was like, wow, this is intense. This is A/B testing at its greatest.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Is these platforms are focused on that consumer experience, and they do have the advertisers in mind as well. We really would love to have that type of communication to the businesses advertising in that space regularly across all platforms. Yeah. LinkedIn, Twitter. I mean, Twitter's trying to do a lot of stuff right now just to resurrect what they're doing.
Yeah, one other thing I just wanted to, I think it's kind of a way Facebook's trying to training their audience to check these new tabs.
Yep.
So, I mean, they have the Facebook Watch that they're introducing, like Netflix-style shows now. Mm-hmm. That's a different tab. So they have Explore, they have Marketplace, where you can go and you can sell stuff, kind of like a Craigslist-style thing. So there's different silos that they're trying to create, and I think their thinking is that they can kind of train people to check the Explore feed now with the business pages. So
there it is.
We'll see.
Hey, maybe it's
go ahead.
For news. Maybe it's something that I found Facebook to be great for finding articles for my friends. Like not even like what people are up to in life anymore. More of like, oh, this is a good article because I'm friends with a lot of marketers. So maybe that could be the RSS feed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, check this out over at Search Engine Journal from Matt Southern, a name I can actually pronounce. I apologize, Philippe. Google My Business page. Here it is. We talked about this for the longest time. Yep. Google My Business pages now can actually take direct bookings. I'll take this one, Tom. Literally, Google's rolling out a new booking page button for Google My Business pages that would allow businesses to take bookings directly through Google My Business. The booking buttons can help your business stand out from the crowd, Google says, as the company emphasizes the benefits of online bookings. Google's booking button is said to allow customers to make bookings in under a minute, creating an easier booking experience that could result in acquiring more customers. Some of the booking providers that they're rolling out: Appointee, Bookable, Booksy, Full Slate, GenBook, MindBody, MyTime. There's a slew of them here.
Yeah, there's a bunch. But not Calendly.
Not Calendly. That's interesting in its own right. You can set it up very easy, and we'll have the show notes on the article links, so you can check out how to actually build that. So this is a good space, is that it's still utilizing another platform that you can control, right? Yeah. As opposed to Google getting in front of you and controlling that lead flow. That's been my entire concern all along here. Is they literally had no business. Well, they did. It's their platform, so I can't really say that. But I mean, getting in front of the lead opportunity with that space, they could certainly control a heck of a lot of business that way. Sujan, what do you think about that bit of information?
As a consumer, I love it. I can now officially get my barbershop to like one-click appointments, or as close to with minimizing human interaction as possible. As an introvert, that is the greatest thing ever. But I think it's great for businesses as well. I think I was pretty shocked as well of when they actually rolled out all these integrations instead of kind of Google doing its monopoly-esque thing of just like, nope, we're going to just like slap on Google on everything, right? Yep. Like what they're doing on the travel end. But I think the reason for this is that like every small business has its own way of operating. They're already doing things, right? Like these services that you mentioned, I think like MindBody, I booked like massages and things like that through these websites. And so I think it's just like one step closer to the call to action being on search results. So I think it's great for businesses on both and consumers. So I'm really pumped about this.
Are they getting too much into the space between the recipient website? I've always had a bit of a fear there that you're going to reduce the efficacy of any properties that the business can actually control. I mean, that is Google's consumer, right? And they're trying to make it more valuable. But my gosh, the next step is, okay, your bookings button is only going to show if you're advertising with us, right?
Sure. I think the way I think in the small business world, talk about restaurants, massage parlors, barbershops, whatever, like every local, like a florist, right? I think this is leveling out the playing field, because I think there's been so long where like if you had a better website and you like invested early, you got to win. And even if you were a crappier restaurant, and let's face it, like you don't choose a restaurant because it's on the SERPs. You choose a restaurant because you want to eat a certain cuisine and you're in the mood for like, you're sick and you want noodle soup, right? Not going to go to the top result. So I think this is a good thing because it levels out the playing field so that everybody, if they can use some technology, like these platforms or whatever, they can get that seamless experience, even if their website sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like AMP in a way, is that they'll just take care of your speed for you. They'll take care of your bookings for you because you guys don't know what you're doing on your own websites. Is that what you're saying?
The first couple of years of my career, I actually work with a lot of small businesses. I'm talking doing website design for plastic surgeons, like all types of I did a lot of work pretty much specifically for Google Local, the Google Maps, business listings, whatever, Google Places at some point it was called. And like everybody has an opinion on what they want, and it's the wrong opinion. It's like, the business owners build the website for the business owner, not the consumer. I think like, to me, I think this is this is a good thing, even though it's actually too much control at some point. But yeah, I'm in favor for it because it's a win-win for both parties.
All right.
And one thing we didn't talk about there was Google Home, how this can tie into a Google Home. If you said, book me an appointment at Joe's Barbershop, right? If it's got an API, it can tie into MindBody or whatever the other calendar tools that are in there. That's an easy thing for a small business to get an appointment scheduled rather than try to hire a developer, create an API to connect to the Google Home, to connect to their website, connect to their. So this is going to, I assume, this is where that's kind of going.
Absolutely.
And mobile, right? At the end of the day, like we know, like voice is the future. Like, well, I think that's what everyone really, really wants it to be. I'm not sold yet, but mobile, right? People do use mobile and make decisions. Like purchases do happen. I think with something like this, it removes like any technical hurdle. Minimizes technical hurdles. So like, going from the search engine or Google Maps, you can just directly click within it.
It also takes us guys like us out of the equation. I mean, come on, we want to program. We need jobs too to be able to help connect the dots. Anyway, Search Engine Journal, another article from Matt Southern to finish up here. LinkedIn is testing auto-playing video ads on mobile. No! All right, tell us what's going on here.
So they're pulling a Facebook 2015 now. So as you're scrolling through on your LinkedIn on your mobile device only, I don't think it's on desktop yet, but if you're on the LinkedIn app and scrolling through LinkedIn, you'll start seeing the video ads on LinkedIn be auto-playing. So be on the lookout for that.
As long as they don't auto-play the sound.
Yeah,
right?
no sound will be, unless you click on it, there will be no sound. Just a way to get your attention.
It is what it is. Sujan, what do you think?
Yeah, this is interesting. I think LinkedIn is a few years behind Facebook, and they're really pushing for a social network. I think getting people to just check it more regularly, and focusing on that news feed and getting people's habits. I think auto-playing ads or auto-playing videos are frankly pretty annoying. I think even like devices like Apple's new iPhones or iOS 11, I think has like stop auto-playing on websites. So this is going to be the next pop-ups and banner ads and like media, right? Yep. It increases engagement until it gets so annoying, and then everyone will kind of drop it, in my opinion. Or I could be wrong, and it works, and people make a boatload of money, right? So they might figure out a way to better do that. But I think LinkedIn is being really pushing on the social network aspect, and it's working. Like I've actually been able to posting, believe it or not, posting a video. I've tested posting a native video on YouTube and LinkedIn, same exact video, nothing on either one. And LinkedIn got about 2,000 views within 24 hours. And that's just because I have a lot of LinkedIn connections. I think Facebook and LinkedIn both count views as very poorly, like 3-second play on no sound, not a view technically.
It's not, it's not really something. No. It's like skipping past it. You just forgot to scroll, right?
Exactly. It's like, I got distracted. I put my phone down. The video just
Facebook
played.
win.
So I think at least with Facebook, you can distill, like you can dive in deeper than analytics and say you can see real like numbers on 15-second plays, because I think that's what YouTube does. But ultimately, like 2,000 people doing jack crap, like nothing. I almost cursed there, so I stopped myself. But doing nothing, right? So I think it's just pushing for video and then true social network capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be pervasive, but I think you're right. There's going to be a pushback and I mean, just with platforms actually having that feature, you're going to have the browser settings that you can turn off those things. I mean, it's we consumers need to be empowered. Also, if we don't want to see it, platforms need to give us the ability to shut that down. All right. Well, what we don't want you to shut down is subscribing to our newsletter on a regular basis, right? So if you want to text to the number 22828, the word Edge Talk, you can start the subscription right there off of your smartphone. We certainly invite you to join our newsletter on a regular basis, because we're talking about who we've interviewed in the previous week, a kind of a synopsis of the interview, as well as who's upcoming, a few article links, as well as maybe a pro tip or two that will go straight into your inbox, and your email will not be used for anything except sending you those nuggets of digital gold. So if you want to jump in there, you can go over to edgeofthewebradio.com, subscribe right there. You can also obviously just text to the number 22828, the word Edge Talk, and you can start right there, right?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I haven't subscribed to my...
Why not?
I know. I need pressure. Just do it.
I'll just add you manually without getting your permission.
That's what they always do. All right. Hey, follow all the feature training topics over at edgeofthewebradio.com. Now let's deep dive with this week's featured guest.
Now it's time for Edge of the Web featured interview with Sujan Patel, co-founder of Web Profits.
All right. Hey, again, we want to introduce our guest. Sujan Patel is the co-founder of Web Profits, a growth marketing agency helping companies leverage the latest and greatest marketing strategies to fuel their business. Sujan actually has 14 years of digital marketing experience and has led digital marketing strategies for companies like Salesforce, Mint, LinkedIn, and many other Fortune 500 companies. And we're very honored to be able to have you on board here today. Thanks so much, Sujan.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is a very. I'm excited because you guys have a lot of energy, and I think rubbing off. So like,
fantastic. Well, it all starts with the bat. You realize that? So I mean,
my mug is a little different.
Is that?
It's coffee.
We're really gonna have fun, aren't we? That's awesome, man. And again, I love the Batman in the background. Fantastic. We're going to have to start matching up our Batman swag, because I don't know about you, but I got 4 kids, man, and they keep on feeding me, or I should say they get some stuff and it ends up in my possession. I don't know how, but it does. I got a few Lego Batmans. Yeah, a few. There's a really cool Batman Beyond that I've got.
Batman Beyond?
That my kid keeps on taking from me. I know.
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, hey, Sujan, tell us a bit of your backstory, if you would.
Yeah, so I've been doing digital marketing for 14 years. I've got a lot of things going on at the moment. I run a marketing agency called Web Profits. I run the U.S. business. Company's been around for 10 years and is also based in Sydney, Australia, as well as Singapore. So we try to kind of cover all of our bases and areas. I've done a lot. I started off as an SEO, doing a lot of link building, doing content, and became a T-shaped marketer as I realized you actually have to really know a lot more than SEO to get SEO implemented or do SEO. So, naturally transitioned to a T-shaped marketer and, learn AdWords, PPC, Facebook, advertising and whatnot. And, right now I also run a handful of SaaS companies. So Mailshake is one, as well as a handful of others under rampventures.com. So the crazy thing is I get to do a lot of test poking, prodding, and a lot of fun. And we do it for ourselves. And then the stuff that works, we actually get to apply for our clients. And it's a whole lot of fun.
That's a nice sandbox that you got there. That's awesome, man. So for our listeners and our audience, just define that T-shaped marketer. I know. I want to make sure our listeners and other marketers that are on this know what that really means.
Right. So let's start with the kind of the line down the middle, the T, right? So that is really where your core competency is, right? So for me, my background, as I mentioned, is in SEO. So I'm the strongest foothold in SEO, and that comes with, I would say the content, the link building, all that stuff is fit within the SEO side in that, the leg of the T. And then the top of it is all the ancillary things like analytics, data and metrics, the whatever platforms you need to use, or, again, like one company may use Mixpanel, another may use Kissmetrics, another one may use something else. So you can't just know one platform anymore. But thinking about PPC, thinking about branding, conversion rate optimization, copywriting, a whole slew of things that are on the top. And it's no longer okay to say, I don't know this. Go figure it out. There's probably a million articles on every single one of those topics. And what I found is you really, in order to really implement things or move the needle or drive true growth through any one channel, you need to understand all the other channels. Maybe not to the depth of, again, as an SEO or whatever your core competency is, but you'd need to know it to a certain extent. And, I've got friends who are T-shaped marketers that are designer backgrounds or developer background, and that's their leg. And so you don't have to be a true marketer to be a T-shaped marketer. Excellent.
Thank you for the definition. I mean, and honestly, you need to embrace that in any digital marketing strength. You do have to appreciate the other tactics. They all flow together, right?
Absolutely. I think gone are the days of leveraging one channel. Even if you leverage one channel, your byproduct is the other channels, right? So like, I'll give you an example. At Mailshake, we're, again, all my SaaS companies are bootstrapped. So we've got a small team, tight budgets, and we don't do a lot. But again, so we started doing content marketing. And what we saw was that an increase of traffic, our blog was growing rapidly, but it actually came a lot from our customers. So what we were actually doing is educating our customers. We were actually helping convert people down the funnel. So like, we weren't trying to do conversion optimization, but the byproduct of us creating content and marketing it helped us with our branding, helped us keep and educate our customers, aka reduce churn and increase our conversion without really aiming to do that. Now, it wasn't a huge lift, but when we saw even a decent lift, I was like, we should probably do this. We should probably do conversion optimization, or we should probably do this and the other thing. So it all kind of like bubbles out from one channel.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I couldn't agree more. Hey, you have presented in the past how small businesses can really leverage the value of their existing customers, and it does go without saying that there's a lot of challenges for small businesses and budgets to go omni-channel and digital, right? And they do have to work smartly as opposed to stupidly. I probably but I mean those key things that could really give a small business a lift. You've actually encapsulated a number of articles and a number of presentations around that. We caught you on a recent slideshow presentation you gave to Kissmetrics about how to leverage your existing customers for growth. Can you talk a little bit about some of the points that you brought up in that particular presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Before I jump in, let me just say that it doesn't matter the size of your business or the resources you have. If you have 5 hours in a week that you can carve out, or even 2 hours, you can leverage your existing customers to grow. And this is a strategy that's very powerful because you've got customers. Like if you're a yogurt shop if you're a small business, local business, small startup, if you have an audience, you can do the same thing with your audience. So a couple things that I like to do, first and foremost, I like to leverage the NPS, Net Promoter Score surveys, right? So I usually survey and recommend doing it every 90 days. And the NPS survey, for those of you who don't know what that is a 0 to 10. It's a question that asks you, how likely would you recommend as 0 to 10? And so somebody, your customer, your audience just has to answer whatever, right? And then after that, it's a prompt that says, feedback, or like it's an open input box. And generally within this box, if the people love you, or the people who are your fans, or they like the software or the service or whatever this may be, you'll get testimonials, right? So we implement this at our agency. And, we don't have a lot of clients. I think in the US business, we have about 15 or so clients. And, we got 3 testimonials within the NPS survey. Now, we got 2 people who are like, we have some feedback, we could improve communication. So that feedback that you get is things you can do to make your business better. And those testimonials are really awesome, because I don't know about you, but like I usually have to like beg people to give me, not beg, but like follow up like consistently. Now, this NPS thing is done systematically. You can use tools. At Mailshake, one of the tools we use is called Ask Nicely. It's like asknice.ly. And one of the things I really like about them is that you can turn the feedback, those testimonials you have, and actually put them out on a page. So if you go to mailshake.com/testimonials, those are actual real life feedback from our customers. So we just click publish on the ones that we want.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. You're right. Is that it's difficult to get somebody to say a positive testimonial. It's just you have to hunt them down. So if you can leverage those tools to grab a hold of them and make it almost gamify it, you can just explode.
And is that just follow the Ask Nicely? Is that just like a code you just put on your website, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a SaaS product that essentially you just implement on your website. It's fairly easy, actually. It's just a couple lines of code. There's a lot of other tools like Wootrick, Delighted. So there's a lot of different tools out there. Mm-hmm. Choose your pick. It doesn't matter. I think the bottom line is get details from your customers. And what I found is we did this at a company called wheniwork.com, and we've got a lot of feedback. And okay, we have the net promoter score. We have the people who like us, they rated us 9s and 10s. But those people who said something negative, we found that what we did is we created a Zapier integration, mm-hmm. And essentially put that to customer support. And we shot off an email that says, "Hey, sorry that you're having issues. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?" And then the responses went back into customer support. And essentially we got we try to solve our customers' problems. And what I realized is it's not that we solved all of the people's problems that they had with our software. It was the act of trying to solve someone's problem, the act of being a human being, of like, "Hey, I'm listening to you. You said something bad. You said something, even if it's super small, I'm listening to you." And we did this immediately after they said it, because you can do that with Zapier, pretty much an email. And it just humanizes a business. And I think ultimately leveraging your customers to grow your business is all about showing that you give a crap about your customers, showing that they mean something to you, right? Like, that you rely on them, and putting that out there. And whether you think that's marketing or not, that is marketing.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's demonstrating, your brand demonstrates that it's reaching out, that it's you're right. That it's human, that it's listening, and that it cares, right? That exactly. And it's not, because people are more savvy to not paying attention to the individuals, especially if they have all caps and they're just like crazier than a bag of cats, right? We all know that. We can see that now. But it's that response. It's you're paying attention, and you try to take it offline, this, that, and the other. But witnessing that's fantastic. So we talked before the show about Gary Vee's thank you economy, and that really set the stage back in 2011. And it is here right now. He was so right in that space. These type of authentic connections, right, to the customer base are invaluable. Can you tell us a bit about how small businesses can leverage the connection to their consumers and whether swag actually helps in that space or not?
Yeah. So actually, funny story. I read probably the first 2 chapters of Gary Vee's Thank You Economy, and I stopped reading. I was like, I'm going to go do this. Like, I didn't even know what exactly I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to just go start thanking my customers. So a couple of examples. So one thing we do for any internet business, e-commerce, software, services, when someone signs up, that like first impression, that first, like, whether it's a day, a month, whatever it is, it's typically within an hour to a month, right? That's an opportunity for you to go and build an emotional relationship with your customer. And that starts with 2 words: thank you, right? And so you can send thank you cards. I found perform very, very well. And so like for software businesses that I work with, when you sign up, like for example, at wheniwork.com, we did a lot of testing, and so I can talk in deep detail with that. But every new customer that signed up, we mailed them a thank you card because we had their billing address, we had their name, obviously, and we took an online software and an online relationship, and we made it offline. We made it a little bit more personal. And you can go deeper and say, let's swag your customers. So like t-shirts work well. Gifts work really, really well. Now, if you're on the enterprise, you're dealing with large clients, like for example, at Y Profits, our customers are paying us somewhere between $50,000 to $200,000 a year. Fairly large customers. A t-shirt could do okay. That could work, but really, you have to figure out what they want. So we have somebody who, like, when someone signs up with us, and they're getting kicked off, like, hey, on the onboarding call, we mailed you something, and we do a little bit of stalking and research on the people that we're working with, and we mailed them a little care package. We can spend a few $100s on this. There's a friend of mine, John Rowland, who wrote a book called Giftology, and the number one mistake he says that people make is they send swag with your branded stuff on it. And for the most part, nobody wants branded stuff, right? That's the stuff you don't use. Or like, that's what you sleep in. So I've had success using branded stuff, but like what I'm saying is, like, try branded, but also be open to non-branded things that you think would be helpful. And really at the end of the day, it's all about like taking a transaction or an online relationship and doing something greater with it. And I like to add offline elements to any online business because people get surprised. They get delighted. They're like, I didn't know you're a real business. You're a real person. Oh, wow. Like, and you kind of forget. And like, you can see this interaction. Like, I like to always man customer support for a few months on any business that I either create or buy. And I get it's brutal, right? It hurts my feelings sometimes, but like, people don't realize, like, there's a human on one side annoyed, and there's a human on the other side whose job is to help them not be annoyed and fix their problem, right? But what's in the middle is this like internet bubble thing, right? It allows somebody to think they can say whatever they want and get away with it. When you take that offline relationship and start there, you essentially start on the right foot.
Very good. Very good. It protects so much. You're absolutely right, because if people don't have that tether to a business, then they feel that they can jump in there and say anything without any type of repercussions. You're absolutely right, and which they can actually, and the repercussions are a negative brand.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you guys like candy?
Yes, Reese's.
Always.
Who doesn't like candy, right? Like, very rare. Like, I don't like candy.
People that have no souls.
Yeah, you don't have, or at least ice cream, cupcakes, whatever, right?
Sure.
So you can do this with you can delight your customers by sending them candy. Like, hey, we'd actually tested this at a couple companies, and we've done this for a few clients as well. Like when someone signs up at the very beginning, it's like, hey, what's your favorite candy bar? Or what's the thing you like? And it's open-ended, and we don't say we're going to do anything. We just want to know, like, hey, let's get personal. We just want to know what your favorite candy bar is. And when I worked at Com, we actually send people candy bars. And like someone's based in London, and they said, I've never had a Baby Ruth. And I'm like, what? You never had they said Baby Ruth. Well, I don't know what's my favorite, but I've never had a Baby Ruth. I guess we don't get them here in England. And so like we had a kind of a customer advocacy team, our thank you cards and kind of swag and all this packaging and stuff like that. And they started sending customers candy. And people were shocked. Like the lady that got the Baby Ruth, we gave her a lifetime experience that she's never had, right?
You're absolutely correct.
I don't know if it's a great candy bar, to be honest, but she's never had it, right? And so I guarantee you, when she thinks of our software, she's going to have at least some point of recollection of this Baby Ruth bar, whether it was good or not.
And what did that cost you?
Like $5. Shipping was expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, in the from a life cycle and a retention standpoint, it's probably the least costly exercise. A little bit of research, a little bit of communication. Shipping, yeah, that'll kill you. But I mean, if it's under $50, man, it's so invaluable, that personal connection. We shared a story offline about one of our vendors, Chris Hoyt from Apprentice, who does intern curriculums for us, and he reached out and said a thank you, and he knew I was a big Batman fan, and he sent that little Batman fidget spinner, right, with a personalized thank you card, and it made my day, and I turned around, threw it up in LinkedIn, one of the best posts I've ever had, but it was just so authentic. He just knew, and he took the time. That right there is amazing when it gets down to customer retention and relationships, you know?
Yeah, and you got to read that book, Giftology. Awesome.
Yeah.
I had a chance to see John speak. It's freaking amazing.
Absolutely.
One thing he says is like, it's hard to pull off, is the key to closing a deal, or kind of retention and delighting and like sending gifts and whatnot, is get the spouse, get the partner, not the person, right? Like if your wife loves you, if your wife loves the vendor, I guarantee you you're probably going to have to explain why you fired them if you ever do, right?
That's funny. That is amazing. So, I mean, just the thank you side of things and sending and the connection, we could explore an entire show just on that. But I did want to move into client referral asks, because those are the best thing that a happy customer can do, even outside, even beyond even raising their budgets. I mean, literally asking to represent to another organization and recognizing the value that they have to your organization is huge. They're an advocate for your brand. Can you tell us a little bit about how different ways that you can incorporate this referral ask in products and services?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think a lot of people don't have the balls to ask. The first thing is just to ask. I think the next thing is, and if you ask, I guarantee you'll either get some people that say, yeah, I'll refer you. Yeah, I'll be a reference. I've already referred you. Or like, no, I hate you. And or like something of a rejection. And the rejections, you can figure out like what you're doing wrong in your service, product, or whatever in your business that's causing people to feel that way. You might just be, I had a business partner, and he's a really smart guy. He's super introverted. And when you get him on the phone, he just sounds like a real, like, he sounds like he's saying things in black and white, and he kind of just rubs people the wrong way sometimes on the things he's super passionate about, because he gets loud and whatever. And we realized we probably shouldn't have him on the phone. And that was what it was. Or we needed to coach him, because every time we got on the phone, that's when like something broke. So again, simply asking people is the first thing you need to do. Number two is you need to ask them at the right time. You, especially in the software space, right? You want to ask them after they had a great experience, right? So like that thank you card, right? That's when you ask them, like, I delighted you. Now do me something, do me a favor. And I think what people fail to realize is that, like, you can actually ask your customers. It's okay. Yes, they're paying you money, but your business, you can ask. It's a two-way street. And so asking at the right time, I think people ask, and like, especially like referral programs, they ask something too big. So for example, I've tested many different referral programs and advocacy programs, and it's like, okay, sign up for this, join this platform now, like share it with this link. And it's like, well, I just wanted to tell my friends about you. I kind of don't care anymore, right? And so I like to validate whether a referral program and advocacy program would work by doing it in a manual and low tech way. So like, for example, Narrow.io, one of my SaaS companies, we tested this out pretty vigorously, and we realized a referral program won't work for us. Although we grow a lot by word of mouth, it's counterintuitive, right? You would think a referral program would definitely work. Well, it turns out people like to make them, like, when people refer us, they look like they're smart to their friends, and people love looking smart. And so we realized this. And so the way we tested out the validated that a referral program wouldn't work is that we used intercom, and we prompted people like that got a good, our tool helps people increase their Twitter following. So when people got about 50% increase in Twitter follows, we asked them at that time, when they got something good from our tool, hey, would you mind, sharing this or referring a friend? So we A/B tested a bunch of different dialogues, and we found the one that people would normally do is like they'd tweet it, and we adjusted the tweets to make that person sound smart. So like, hey, check out this awesome tool. It already helped me increase my following by 50%. Like, that was the gain that they got. Or we again, it started with the tweet started with, check out this awesome tool I found, right? That is that's making the person sound smart.
Right.
And we, again, like, then we tested, we realized that worked really, really well. So the very top corner of our product, now we have a little like, love using Narrow. And I found that I stole this from when you have a mobile app, a lot of people prevent negative reviews by asking a question saying like, hey, like using our software. I found when you say love using our software, it's like a polarizing, like, yes, I love it, or like, no, how dare you ask me if I love this piece of software, or like, how can you even ask me if I love something? I love my wife, but like, or husband, but I don't love a phone, right? So people do get annoyed, but the people who don't get annoyed, you validate that they really like you. They potentially love you, although people can say that without meaning it. And then you prompt something else that says, okay, tweet it, email your friend, and again, like, pre-draft these things that make them sound smart. And that increased our word of mouth, and we get around like 10 or 15% of customers that sign up within the first month. They discover their own aha moment, and it happens to be right above the metrics, right? So you see your new followers, you see your increase, and then it says love using Narrow, and people share it out. Now, we tried implementing a referral program at that same place, but it turns out we lost people when they had to go share it or do something with another widget or whatever. So people loved us enough to spend 10 seconds, but not enough to spend 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because that's like a big favor. And so we've kind of implemented that across the board. Now, that's what I'm saying, like, start with a minimal, small little test that you can manually do in sending an email or in an intercom or any in-app messaging, whatever service you use. And then go into the referral program and kind of, or advocacy program, and kind of step your way into it, because you might find points of failure that you will never find if you implement a program and then try to work backwards from it.
That was a great synopsis of what you've got to do. And I do want to kind of lift up one of those key points. You got to know what's important to that consumer, that user of the brand. And if you've got a product that has metrics to it, that has performance enhanced, right? These type of executions, you have to demarcate when to ask. You're absolutely right. When it comes down to professional services, you need to have that personal understanding of that particular decision maker, what's important for them and what they're holding you accountable for. Because I mean, from the tech side of things, from the SEO side of things, we could see, hey, we were able to decrease your technical SEO errors by 40%. Can we help? Right? And on the other side of the coin, they're still not getting the lead acquisition. Yeah. That's what they're paying attention to. The tech side of things, we saw a big jump, right? But you have to know when to ask and what they're paying attention to. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. I think, when you think about tools, software, services, those are all inputs, right? Like we could do a bang up job for a client and create this amazing piece and it could get traffic. But what if it doesn't generate any ROI? And at the end of the day, a client usually is judging performance by ROI, revenue, or, even ROI could be traffic, right? The tools, exactly what you said, like focus on outputs and results. And that's the metric that you should kind of go after.
Well, could I ask, what do you mean by the Disneyland effect?
Yeah. So actually, I just got back from going to this conference that did an amazing job at what I call a Disneyland Effect. I actually didn't make it up. One of the founders of RD Summit, which is the conference I'm talking about, what they do is, when you go to Disneyland, let me just describe a Disneyland experience, right? You walk into Disneyland, you're in the middle, and you see this amazing thing. It's coincidence you walk through. It's no coincidence that you walk through Main Street and you see this big castle at the end. Imagine if you're a kid here, right? Not an adult. And you're this kid, you walk through Main Street, you see Mickey Mouse, you see, you're all the cars and like all your like your the things you watch and toys you play with and whatever. That's like an experience, right? That's an amazing thing. Like you didn't even do anything in Disneyland yet, right? Like, but you have goosebumps. You're like excited. Walking in gets you excited. And that's the same thing you can do to at your conference or for your business, more so for conferences and events and things like that. Essentially, when somebody has that first interaction with your whatever, give them, like, make them feel like amazing, make them feel special, right? Like, maybe they've been reading like, for example, a lot of my people who inquire we get a lot of leads through my personal website, sujanpatel.com. Well, I have to assume they're readers of my blog, right? And what I do, the first question I ask them is like, hey, I asked them a question about my blog post. Like, hey, what do you want to know more about? Like, what's a blog post that resonated with you? And I'm like, I'm not even saying anything to sell them on anything. I'm just saying, hey, like, what is it about you? And they're like, oh, this guy actually gives a crap, right? And I talked about giving a crap before, but like, same thing goes with Disneyland, the Disneyland Effect. And the other thing about the Disneyland Effect, and this is strategic at theme parks that Disney does, is they have, I think it's a mathematical thing, but they have like a character or a presence in certain amount of square footage. So you can never walk too far without having experience from a Disney employee. And I think it's like every like 5 or 10 feet. So what that means, I think, again, I'm just like these are all hypothetical. I'm just stealing this from like actually seeing this. But it has to be one. You always have to have a line of sight of a character, an employee, and usually it's a character, right? Like, oh, you take a picture with Mickey, and then go over there and you see like Aladdin, or I don't know. My Disney references are really old. So.
That's okay, man.
Obviously, I'm not a 5-year-old kid, but yeah. So that's what this company, this conference, RD Summit, did. So every like 10 feet, they had an employee, and the employee was like, hey, do you need coffee? Do you need directions? Do you need this, that, the other? And they were actually employees that worked at the company. So they got all their employees of the company, not like there weren't like conference hires, short-term hires or anything like that. It was actual people that worked there. And at the very end of the conference, when they had one like closing keynote, and when you walked out, I have a video on this on YouTube. Just Google like RD Summit Disneyland Effect. When you walk out of this conference, all the employees are lined up on both sides of, like, there's only one way to exit, and they're like lined up on the left and right side, and they're just clapping. And like, I don't know, that's just a weird thing to do, but you feel good when you end this conference. You're like, I accomplished something. Why are they cheering me on? And that got the attendees hyped up. And they say, like, when you give a talk, they focus and people remember on the first thing and the last thing you say. Well, that's exactly, they're closing with a high note. And again, Disneyland Effect. It's not a coincidence that Disneyland ends every freaking day with fireworks on Main Street. Again, one exit, right? And if there, again, Main Street, you can get funnel cakes, cookies, candy. I don't think there's beer, but like you get, it's all good stuff for the kids.
Butterbeer.
But yeah.
Well, you're universal, but yeah,
you're absolutely right, Sujan. Is that you have to be very cognizant of your customers' experience with you, right? And you've got to be able to make sure they're excited, make sure that they're getting pumped. Whenever you're in a professional meeting, whenever you're sitting down, is that you stoke them and you provide that level back to them, that feedback and that value to them. Just knowing that you appreciate them is invaluable, and so many times we can lose track of those small things that mean all the world to that site. The psychology of the entire event. Fantastic.
And it's this premise called customer delight at the end of the day, right? So whatever that is to you, your business, doesn't matter. Just think about, like, what can I do that can like delight my customer, make them smile.
I love it.
Whatever that is. But yeah, let's keep going.
No, I love it. I love it.
Did I savvily put new headphones in?
I saw that. did they tap out? Did the juice drop?
Yeah. It turns out 45 minutes is all you get.
Apples.
I have successfully worn out an Apple iPad. Well, could you, as we finish up, could you tell us some bad ways that you've seen businesses use to ask for a referral?
Yeah. So I see this a lot in sales-led organizations and like car dealerships, right? Like or a real estate agent. You buy a house, you get a call at the end and like, hey, can you refer us? Do you know anyone else? Right? Like, same with car dealerships. They keep calling, or like you buy the car, like, how was it? Do you know anyone else looking to buy a car? Do you always know somebody looking to buy cars and homes? No, you got the customer in the right state of mind because they're excited, but they probably don't off the top of their head know people looking to buy a home. You don't usually get referrals like immediately. You get referrals, 3, 6, 9 months. Like when I go buy a house, I had a good experience with this guy named James, and James is a realtor. And the next time I met with a friend who was, I had dinner with a friend, and this was 6 months later. He was like, I'm in the business of buying a home. Do you know somebody's a good realtor? I'm like, yes, this guy James is awesome. Like that's a long time from now. So like understand when to ask something, and or the referral asks for a favor essentially, and make sure it's the right time, and understand the buying cycle of your business. I think a lot of people forget, like, oh, well, maybe I don't know people who are looking to buy cars off the top of my head, right? So I think a lot of people forget that. But the other thing is, when salespeople do this, it comes off sometimes a little bit the wrong way. So you can do this, but I think what you have to do is like lead with value. So if you're doing this for software, I don't have an example of a company that does this well, but what you can do is, essentially at some point when they get the aha moment, follow up X amount of days, weeks, months later, and say, hey, like I've got some more content for you. Do you need help using our software? Like offer help. And then, oh, by the way, do you know anybody that needs that needs our service, or do you know anybody that you can do it? Quickly tell me the names and write them down. Like, again, minimizing the work that the other person has to do and leading with value or offering more help is always a great way to start it.
Absolutely, and I've seen a few software tools do that, and actually get in the space where do you know someone who could benefit, and all of a sudden now you're putting that customer in a space of advocacy, not only for you but also authority,
Yeah.
to help somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And you move them into that space. It's a value that you're ascribing to them. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And I think it's, you're right. And Stelly FD, a good friend of mine from Close.io, he's a master of this, right? Like he's a great sales guy, and he teaches people to do this. But essentially, one of the things I learned from him is that when you do this, like, hey, do you know anybody that needs this? You ask for their names, you get the information, and you say, hey, like, let's say you make them look good, right? So you say, hey, like, we know people want to look good. So let's say they refer you people, and you have the person say, hey, can you just shoot this guy a quick email? Mm-hmm. After, you want to follow up with the person who recommended you after the other friend signs up. So that same salesperson follows up and says, hey, like, thanks again for the referral, blah, 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 signed up. Why don't you do me a favor? And again, making that close the deal off, essentially saying, let them know, like, you talked to me, or like, and again, getting the person who did refer you, that was referred, and you call them to do the same thing, and you tell the person who referred you to a thank you note, and you both do it, right? The salesperson as well as the person who was referred. So this way you kind of close the loop on and give thanks at the end of the day.
This topic, it certainly deserves more from the conversation we can give it. It is so invaluable that businesses, big and small, realize that those consumers hold a huge amount of revenue at their fingertips. But on top of that, it's just doing business right that I think is sometimes missed in the fast-paced digital marketing space, in the SaaS environment. Is you should be thanking your customers. You should be appreciating what they do for you. And that should almost be a priority beyond that revenue gen, but it certainly is a huge boon for any organization if they take on that thank you pursuit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think if you follow like large corporations like Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they started the movement of NPS. Mm-hmm. They have a 90% response rate. Look at JetBlue, Southwest, Virgin America, or like Virgin Airlines. Those four companies do an amazing job at customer advocacy and customer delight. So if you have no ideas, look at those companies for like ideas. Especially JetBlue. There's tons of videos on like JetBlue, like getting people coffee and just random stuff like that. So those are the companies I look to as kind of leaders.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Well, to wrap up, Sujan, could I ask you what bugs you about your industry right now?
I think the thing that really bothers me is a lot of people are like, they think there's this magic bullet, right? They're looking at the surface of whatever growth has happened. They want to do it, and they're, I just got to go do this. And really, it's always the tip of the iceberg that is bright, shiny, and big in their face. There's a whole lot more work. So I think what bugs me really is that people are not really looking. They really want some big wins, but they're not really willing to do the work that kind of comes to it. I mean, like here's an example. Like somebody wanted to do SEO. And I was like, well, actually, in order for you to do SEO, you got to redo your website. You need to produce content regularly. Like you need to do it, or like you need to get somebody to do it. And you need to beef out these pages, blah, blah, blah. Like there was like 15 steps in order to even leverage SEO, to start leveraging it. So I think it's just kind of people not looking in depth enough or willing to do that.
No, I couldn't agree more in that space. Well, conversely, what excites you about your industry? Because we want to leave on a positive note.
High note, yeah, let's do it. So,
see my Disneyland effect right there. Come on,
the Disneyland effect. We gotta just end the show clapping, all right? So, what I'm really excited about is just technology being leveraged a lot more, right? Like chatbots. LinkedIn is going into this news feed era. I think there's just new channels emerging. And these micro strategies that come between bigger channels like PPC and SEO, there's a lot of like bridges becoming between them and how to both leverage both of those. So that's really, really exciting. I think the AI element of just technology getting smarter and machine learning happening to it's doing some of this hard math for you. I can find, like, for example, really most exciting thing is like when somebody signs up as a lead of Web Profits or signs up as a customer of Mailshake, I can, based off an email address and a name, I can enrich the data and know a lot more about that person. And, my customer support person knows their LinkedIn profile and can tell what they're up to, right? And we don't use that for evil, but we try to like personalize information. That is so awesome to do. And it's like 2 clicks to enable it, right?
Yep. It just has to be done, and you have to have the discipline to do it. And that's it right there, is that there's so much rich content that is right there for the taking because people are providing that data all the time. All you got to do is get your stock on, right?
Get it on.
Speaking of stalking, we want to make sure that we track you where you are. So we certainly want to promote your website, your agency, webprofits.agency, as well as rampventures.com. Anything else? You certainly want to go check out Sujan at sujanpatel.com. Anything else that we should be expressing to our users and the audio listeners to the show?
Yeah, if you have any questions, look, I'm an open book. One of the things I love doing is just talking to people. Helping folks. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Just go to my website, sujanpatel.com, and fill out the form at the very bottom. I think it's at the very bottom, but just ping me on anything. All I ask is be specific. Like, don't ask how do I grow my company? Tell me what your company is, what you've done in a little bit more detail, but happy to answer any questions.
Similarly to how many pieces of Batman swag do you have, right?
I have a Batman tattoo. Did you know that? I wanted to wait till the end to tell you.
Oh, see, you just did that, didn't you? My wife has been blocking me on that for years, and now I'm armed. Sujan's got it.
Sujan's got one.
Can I get one? I'm saying, got to keep up with the Patels. Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure, sir, and we'd love to have you back on the show because this is absolutely an area that we at Site Strategics are very invested in to be able to understand how best to support our clients and how they need to pursue the referrals with their own customers and understand what thank you really means in this digital age. So would you be willing to come back around again?
Would love to.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate your time today, sir, and we certainly will be lifting you up after the show and the show in the show notes, as well as the podcast that gets launched very soon after. Thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. Had a blast.
All right, man. Take care. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll give Sujan a clap. Yay. Yes, very nice, very nice. Thanks for listening to Edge of the Web Radio. Special thank you to our colleagues at Site Strategics for production, as well as our guest, Sujan Patel. Make sure to check out all the must-see videos over at edgeofthewebradio.com, as well as all the insider information and the show notes. And that is edgeofthewebradio.com. We'll see you next week. Who's going to be on the show next week?
Jay Acunzo.
Jay Acunzo is going to be on with us. Yeah. So we're
host of Unthinkable FM podcast. Keynoted at Content Marketing World this year, so should
Fantastic.
Be a good show.
All right, so jump back on the live cast. Make sure you ask questions of us and download and let us know how we're doing on the show because we're certainly doing it for you, our listeners and our podcast audience. That's we're signing off. Erin and Tom from Site Strategics, appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week. Do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. Bye-bye.